Today we'll take a look at the Google MyMaps application, which builds upon the Google Maps platform and allows you to upload a spreadsheet with personalized or individual address information about your locations and map them and ultimately obtain directions. The program will require that you sign in with a Google account, and once you've logged into Google MyMaps, you can either open a map that you have worked on previously and edit it, or, as we'll do today, create a new map. The first thing that you'll be able to do is go ahead and give your map a name. Today we'll work with some addresses in Philadelphia. You can also add any description, information, or details that would be helpful. In your untitled layer, this is where you have the opportunity to import your set of addresses and your spreadsheet file. Before you do that, you do want to go ahead and take a look at that file and make sure that along with your street address and city and zip, if it's available, that you've set it up to contain a straightforward header row that has clear titles for each of these columns, but you can also access any of the name or ID or customer ID and any notes that you might have available for each of these locations. You can browse to the file location and automatically upload that data. The first thing it will ask you is to identify the fields that are the ones that contain your address. So in this case we have the city, the street, and the zip. It will also ask you to identify which field contains your preferred title for labels. In this case, we'll use the name, but you could also use your customer identifier if that was more helpful. After the data has loaded, you will be navigated to the location on your map with your place markers. And in this case, Google has identified 3 of our address fields that it wasn't able to locate sufficiently. You can check on those by opening your data table. Those will appear at the top in red. And in this case, it looks like I have some missing or incomplete address information, although in this case I do also have extraneous information. So if I delete that and clean that up a little bit, Google will be able to find that Price Street location for me. And by either selecting any of my location entries in the table or by selecting the place markers for them on my map, I can pull up the related information that's contained in the table for them. I can also delete any information I don't need, attach any images or other photos that might be helpful, and I can directly go in and edit line by line the data that I have for each of my entries. Once you have created your map and checked out your place marks, you can go ahead and change up the appearance of your map if you prefer. This is where you can go in and turn on a set of labels if you'd like to see them, and it uses a standard Google font for that. You can also change the style of your map. You may have information within your data, for example, that tells you how frequently a location has been visited, and you can establish the classes and the color ramp for those accordingly. And if you would actually rather see something besides the traditional Google red place marker, you can go in and select a different shape and a different color for your items if you so choose. You can also select a different base map aside from the standard Google Street Map view. You can also then use the standard Google tools to go ahead and look at directions for each of your locations. You can also add an additional marker to your map set. And let's go ahead and set up some directions. You'll be asked to identify your starting point and your end point by adding destinations. You can also go ahead and select a series of points as well as additional locations on your map that you may need navigation to that aren't specifically a subset of your place markers. You can also go into that layer and pull up the step-by-step directions, which will offer the estimated drive time and the mileage. It will also break each of those down in between each point of your route.